Well, we're making this presentation, and it's going to be a channel update, and we're going to look at some things with the 22 Magnum and the 22 Long Rifle. Truth be told, a lot of my more recent presentations have been tabletops and been stuff that doesn't require me to move a whole lot. Some of y'all that have watched my videos with me competing in USPSA matches, you'll realize I'm a little bit slower than I have been in the past. Reason being is I've been having back problems. About the middle of December, I had corrective surgery for it, and right now I'm recovering. So for the next month or so, I'm going to be limited to basically tabletop presentations, stuff that I can do around the house. And this is going to give me a chance to go into longer explanations of stuff. And whenever we can get out to do the range work, it's going to cut the time that I have to go into lengthy explanations, and we can actually use the range work for the meat and potatoes of stuff, and test and evaluate different ammunitions, different loads, drills, and footage from competitions. Because of the timing of my back surgery, I'm gonna miss about half or maybe a little bit more general gun season this year in Florida. Good news is when general gun season ends about the middle of January, small game season picks up, followed by turkey season, and I have quite a few things in mind for those seasons. And I'm going to use the next month to do tabletops, do the lengthy explanations, and hopefully we'll get back to doing live fire drills and ballistics tests, competitions, and other things as soon as I'm able. For your consideration up here, I have 4 firearms. One of them is my Savage Mark II and 22 long rifle. It's topped with a Simmons 4-power 22 mag scope. I have that scope on 2 of my other 22 long rifle firearms. Yes, it's cheap. Yes, it's a Simmons, but 22 long rifle doesn't beat them up, and one of them's been on there 25 years. Second one is my Savage Model 93 and 22 Magnum. It's got a 3x9x32 Bushnell on it. We have my Heritage Arms Rough Rider with a 6-inch barrel. Right now it's got the 22 long cylinder in it. The 22 Magnum cylinder sitting right beside it. This gun has a 6-inch barrel and fixed sights. I painted the front side orange where it makes it easier for me to see. And we also have my Ruger Single 6. It's got a 5.5-inch barrel, adjustable sights, and I've got the 22 Magnum cylinder in it. There's the 22 long. There are the holsters made by T.P. Parker, a local leathersmith here in Perry. He does excellent work. If anybody needs holsters or any other leather gear made, reach out to me and I'll get you his contact information. This is not going to be a direct comparison necessarily of 22 long rifle and 22 Magnum. Both have their advantages. 22 Magnum offers flatter trajectory, higher velocities, and as a result, out of a rifle, better terminal performance when we compare it to a 22 long rifle out of a rifle or out of similar pistols. The reason that I've got these two pistols out for us to look at is because they both have the interchangeable cylinder and they're convertible, where we can go from 22 long to 22 Magnum. With many of our standard casings like 38 Special and 357 Magnum and 44 Special and 44 Magnum, we can simply shoot the shorter cases in the Magnum cylinder. For every rule, there's an exception to the rule, and because of the higher pressure and the different case dimensions, and it's not going to show up on camera necessarily, but the 22 Magnum has a thicker case wall and outer dimensions. So if we put a 22 long into a 22 Magnum cylinder or rifle chambered for 22 Magnum, it's going to allow the shorter, lower pressure cartridge to expand well beyond its safety measure and cause a case rupture. It's also going to lose a lot of velocity, somewhere around 400 feet a second. So we want to shoot 22 Magnum in our firearms chambered for 22 Magnums or cylinders in 22 Magnum, and we want to shoot our long rifle in firearms chambered for 22 long rifle. Although in most cases you can get away with shooting 22 shorts or 22 CB because they have the same outer case wall diameter and use the same diameter bullet as the 22 long rifle. In a lot of cases, I like using the 22 Magnum pistol and the 22 Magnum rifle as companion guns for each other for outdoor use, sporting use, hunting, target shooting, dispatching pests, and I might match them up. Now, if we're talking about comparing manually operated rifles in 22 long or 22 Magnum, because I've got the two bolt guns that are so similar out here, I'm using these, but this also applies to lever guns, pump actions, anything but a semi-auto. We're going to get about 70 to 75% of our ballistic performance, our velocities, out of the pistol that we get out of the rifle, assuming we're shooting a pistol with a 4 to 6 inch barrel. If we're shooting a really, really short barrel, like the North American Arms Mini Revolver, the Davis style Derringers, your 2-inch barreled revolvers, well, you're going to get less performance. But 4 to 6 inch barrels, you're going to get 70 to 75%. And this can vary in that based on what type of ammunition you're using. The advantage of the 22 Magnum, you have higher velocities, flatter trajectory, and more energy on the target when you typically compare it to similar loads in 22 long rifle. The advantages to 22 long rifle is you have less noise and recoil. Neither of them are punishing. The ammunition can be bought in bulk as a rule, and it's much cheaper. Being as I intend to be back in the woods for small game season, this is a good place to start these presentations because these are both favorite cartridges for small game hunting. Squirrels, rabbits, raccoons. I've even shot a turkey or two with them. Now, These are manually operated firearms. The revolver requires a mechanical use. In this case, they're both single action, so they require me to cock the hammer before I fire. The bolt action gun requires me to work the bolt in between shots, to chamber around and cock the gun again. These can both cycle snake shot, which is like a small shot shell. This is a 22 long rifle. They're rated at 1,000 feet a second. The charge weight is 31 grains, which translates to roughly 1/15 of an ounce. The 22 Magnum, the charge weight of the shot in those little blue capsules is 52 grains. That translates into roughly 1/8 of an ounce at 1,000 feet per second. These two are both loaded with number 12 shot, which seems to do a good job in getting to a snake's central nervous system and shutting him down completely. With some ammunition, like 36 grain CCI Mini Mag, I've gotten very good terminal performance, expansion, and penetration out of a rifle. However, when I'm shooting it through a normal pistol length barrel, again, we're going to say 4 to 6 inches, because that's where most of my handguns fall between. I get good penetration, but I don't get expansion. Same with some of the 22 Magnum loads. This is the Winchester. I believe it's a 45 grain hollow point. It's got a lot of lead exposed. I get excellent penetration and expansion out of my rifle. With those and the CCI out of the handguns, not so much. With this over the CCI, I get a little bit of expansion. One of the big trends going around now is tailoring 22 and 22 Magnum ammunition for use in shorter barrels. Well, in some cases, you get good results. Now, the question is, how short of a barrel? Well, again, with a 2-inch barrel, sometimes you don't get nearly as good a results as you hope for. A 4 to 6-inch barrel in the pistol. Incidentally, both of the handguns I have that are chambered for 22 Magnum have 5.5 and 6-inch barrels. I get decent expansion and penetration out of this Speer Gold Dot bullet. Now, I know that it says it's optimized for use in handguns. However, I get slightly higher velocities than the CCI Maxi Mag and accuracy that's just as good out of the 22 Magnum rifle. So this is something that can go either way. Matter of fact, the specimen here is one that I pulled out of the 22 Magnum rifle. Semi-automatic are generally not able to cycle snake shot, be it in 22 long or 22 Magnum. Matter of fact, finding a 22 Magnum semi-automatic rifle or handgun that cycles good with a wide variety of 22 Magnum ammunition is like finding the Holy Grail. Usually with a semi-automatic 22 Magnum, I tell people find what works good in that gun and stick with it. Whereas with the revolver, or the manually operated bolt gun. I can shoot a wide variety of ammunition, and mainly what I'm going to have to adjust with that is my sights to accommodate my point aim and point impact. So this has been a look at two of my favorite small game cartridges. Incidentally, a trick an old timer showed to me with the 22 Magnum for small game like squirrels is we're going to completely not worry about shooting expanding type bullets. This is where I have generally a supply of the CCI 22 Magnum Maxi Mags that are solid bullets, and I can shoot small game, squirrels and rabbits without tearing up near as much of meat and actually having something that's edible whenever I get finished. So this presentation hopefully gives you a little bit of enlightenment on what we can do, what we can expect out of these cartridges, and it'll lead into more interesting stuff that we'll be doing on the range. So for now, later on.